An increasing amount of attention is being directed to the transition of our higher education as experienced by the traditional age and adult students. It is a movement that incorporates a great deal of stress and challenge. Although some students are able to experience this transition as a challenge to personal growth, other students are overwhelmed by the changes and experience emotional maladjustment and depression. Issues of adjustment and general development require persistent attention by campus professionals to the immediate relevance to college success. Complex psychological histories often underpin these problems, further complicating treatment. These difficulties are often present as inefficiencies in coping with families, separations, time, stress management, basic study techniques, goal setting, relationship formation, handling emotions, and self esteem crystallization. Personal, academic, social, and professional success depend on the student's ability to manage these aspects of their lives. The home environment for many young people represents a place of instability and emotional upheaval where security, caring, and nurturing are depleted or non existent. Separations, divorce, death, or abandonment removes one or both parents from the family. The lack of attentions and affections that may accompany such changes adversely impact children. Subsequent emotional and financial difficulties of a single parent households further strain the family dynamic. Substance abuse, domestic violence, emotional, physical, and sexual abuse, and mental illness plague some families. At an alarming rate, young people enter higher educations with dysfunctional family backgrounds that evoke stress and trepidations in students. For children of alcoholics, for example, the college social climate that is impressed by alcohol use produces significant anxiety as the student grapples with the personal and family implications of watching and participating in drinking practices. It is imperative that schools recognize the existence and impact of family discourse and childhood trauma on students and provide them with the support necessary to enable them to cope with their situations. With a life prevalence rate of 17% in the general population, a significant number of men and women suffer from a clinical episode of depression at some time in their lives. An estimated 7 million women and 3.5 million men can be diagnosed with major depression in the United States. Similar numbers are diagnosed as the experiencing dysthymia or minor depressive symptoms. College students are twice as likely to have clinical depressions compared to people of similar ages and backgrounds in the workforce. Depression manifests in varying degree from general symptomatology to a clinical disorder. Symptoms occur in four general domains of human functioning: emotional, cognitive, physical, and behavioral, with mood disturbance being the predominant feature. Typical symptoms of depression include a change in appetite or weight, sleep, and psychomotor activity, decreased energy, feelings of worthlessness or guilt, difficulty thinking, concentrating, or making decisions, or recurring thoughts of death or suicidal ideation. Anhedonia, or a loss of interest in activities that were once considered pleasurable, accompanying social withdrawal. Depression is a risk factor for a number of other negative health outcomes, including dimensions, immune functions, and poor illness recovery. Depression constitutes a problem of enormous personal and social significance, and its impact on American college students is indisputable. Depression interferes with intro and interpersonal process, academic and social integration, and retention. Some depressed individuals may evince a hostile, uncooperative, and self criticizing interpersonal style, electing negative responses from others. Poor social skills and social acuity are thought to make people vulnerable to the onset of depressed symptomology. And other psychosocial problems pursuant to the experience of negative, stressful life events. An estimated 64% of college women exhibit some degree of eating disorder behavior, a situation that pushes the body image issue to the forefront of concern in higher education. Although most people diagnosed with anosmia or bulimia, nervous or women, men also suffer from these disorders. Typically developing between the ages of 12 and 25, eating disorders are a life-threatening reality for 5 to 10% of American women and girls past puberty. Problematic eating behavior is best conceptualized on a continuum that illustrates the range of eating behavior from normal to weight, preoccupied to chronic dietary to subthreshold, and full anorexia. Complex dieting and overeating behaviors fail to meet the clinical criteria for a label of disorder. These practices, however, often intensify and reach eating disorder status. Eating disorders stem from a complex interaction of biological, psychological, sociological, spiritual, and cultural factors. American culture's emphasis on thinness and physical beauty, and prevalence of dieting, myths about food and nutrition, perfectionist expectation contribute to this growing problem. Eating disorders often start when an individual experiences a major problem and feels helpless and out of control. It is not uncommon for a student suffering from an eating disorder to report a personal or family history of eating or mood disorders. They typically possesses a character profile of achievement oriented personality, low self esteem, and drive for perfections. Obsessions, loneliness, anxiety, depression, guilt, fear of sexual maturation, and feelings of inadequacy or psychological correctness often associated with problematic eating behaviors. Alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs used as a college and university campuses poses tremendous concern for parents, students, higher education professionals, government officials, and the general community. No school is immune to substance use and resulting adverse consequences. Alcohol, tobacco, and marijuana are the most commonly used drugs on college campuses. But this use encompasses drugs of varying forms, including amphetamine, caffeine, cocaine, inhalants, and other drugs. An essential feature of substances abuse is a maladaptive pattern of substance use leading to recurrent and clinical significance. This is the scientific discussions about the psychology of college girls. If you have liked this video, then please subscribe this channel for further video in future.